Welcome back. Still in module 5, and this time we are working on what is your story and what is the story of your siblings. And this in itself, I will actually reveal to you what I am getting it. And the topic is really obvious. And sometimes in life, we experience things that we get blinded to. So you see, if you have siblings, you can see their story more than you can see your own, or they can see their own. To you, there are so many things that are obvious in your sibling's story. So I want you to start looking at your own sibling's story, because in that area you have clarity of vision. And you understand what I mean by that in a bit when I explain it to you. You see, your sisters or your brother's marriage are a big indication of the choices, the things that they are choosing to live or to make. But it's also a big indication of what is in your foundation. You say, you can't see your own story until you've seen an obvious example of what it looks like from the outside. So when you're looking at your siblings' story, if you have siblings, when you're looking at their stories, remember that they are creating from a post or a position where you were raised in the same household. And things that you had were probably the same, but you responded or reacted to them differently because of the foundation that you had, or the perceptions that you had, or your experiences that you had. You see, there were moments when I felt like my mom loved my sister and my brothers more than me. And then there were moments when I heard my mom talking about me, or my sister would tell me what my mother has been saying about me. And I'm thinking, am I correct in my perception of what I think about my mother? Because she will say something that she is so proud of me, or she will say something that she's so worried for me, or she say something about me to my other siblings. And then they will say to me like, mom was saying this and this, or mom was worried about this and this. And she didn't want me to know those things. And then I realized, you know what? Parents love us the same, but in different ways. So maybe in your own perception, you perceived something differently to what your siblings did in the relationship that you had with your parents. And unfortunately, because that was the foundations of your perception, the experiences are now have become the veil that you see relationships through. So you will need to examine what you saw as young or what your siblings saw as young. The experiences that you had can be very different from the same thing because the perceptions were different. Remember my story when I thought my dad didn't like me because I was a girl. In my own perception, that was it. It didn't affect my sister. She didn't pick that. Maybe my sensitivity, my internal antennas were high alert when it was something to do with a girl being said, I wish you were a boy. So I heard things. Excuse me, I need to drink some water. So I heard things that were probably not said, but because my vibrations were tuned in to this realm where the frequencies were saying, you are not a boy, you are not a boy, you are not a boy, so you are not good enough. So I always perceived most of the stuff that was said about me through those vibrations and that veil. So if I was to talk to my siblings now, and they wouldn't even remember that. But for me, it was a memory that was stuck within me. It's a memory that was limiting me. So what are your memories and things that were said or things that you experienced that are limiting you in the choices that you have in your relationships? Your siblings' story, what stories do they talk about that you see affected all of you? Or what are their relationships like? That can tell you a big story as to what you learned from the relationships you had with your parents. And if they've changed their stories, how did they change? Ask them. What did they do to change or to have better of a relationship than what was? Or did they still have the same kind of relationship that your parents was? Is there anything they can tell you that will give you information as to how you can change your own status or how you see yourself, your own beliefs? You've become an investigator now. You were not expecting this, were you? You see, I do these teachings because I got frustrated at a level where I saw people being told things, being you are this and you are that, your life is like this, you need to change, you need to stop that, you need to stop that, this is better. And, and I just say, like, you can't tell me to stop something without telling me how I can stop it. Because for years I've been trying to change and stop this. And I realized that there was a solution that was needed in showing people how they can change and transform themselves from within so that their outlook on the outside can change. Because all of us, we can see what is on the outside, but we don't know that what is on the outside was created from the inside. So we are trying to change things from the manifestation, but we are not going to the foundation of the things and changing the foundation. So we still keep getting more of what we are trying to change rather than getting new things. So if you want to get new things, you go to the roots and you treat the roots, you uproot some of the roots that are not wanted. So when you uproot or destroy these things from the roots, only then can you start to see a manifestation of something that is different on the outside. But if you're focusing on what is on the outside, you can't change it until you get to the roots. So every issue and every problem has got its own roots, its own foundations. So you've got to find the foundations of these roots. This is why I'm talking to you about investigating your siblings' story, because their stories have got foundations that has created the life that they have now. Is it something you admire? So how did they create something that you are admiring? Is it something you're saying, oh, no, no, no? How did they create that which you're saying, no, no, no? What was influencing them? What frequencies were they listening to? Who has been advising them? What energy is there that is making them create the habits and the actions of the things that they are doing now? Only then can you start to change the story, your story, and only then can you help them too to change their story. You see, your sibling's story is your story. You are different, but you are one. Remember, your father and your mother came together and they became one. That one that they became is you. So as much as you are different, you are one. That's what keeps the family unity together. So coming to your story, as I said, there are some things that you are blinded to in your story. You can't see them because it is about you. Remember, there was a start one morning. I was like, oh, the day is beautiful. But there are days that you can't see the beauty of the day because you are the beauty of the day. You are waking up to it. One day, sometimes you project that beauty of the day outside and you see it clearly. Sometimes you can't see it because it is you. So that blindness that you have about your own things that are going in your own life, and you can always see it through the projection of other people into other people. So you can talk to your siblings if you're close and ask them, okay, how do you see my relationships? What do you think is the habits and the things that are here that are causing me to have this? Usually they will spell to you out what you will need to do and what you will need to change. They know it exactly, but they can't tell you how to change it. So that's the power of family. If you don't have family, you've got friends. You've got those people that know you. You've got your parents that know you. You see, I've often worked with women that said my parents and my sisters and my brothers used to see this. They didn't like my husband or they didn't like my boyfriend because they could obviously see what I wasn't able to see. So your family know you and they can see things. Sometimes they don't tell you because they want to honor you in your own decisions. Sometimes they tell you when they see you suffering, but because you're so connected deeply at the soul level, you can't obviously see what is obvious, or you see what is obvious, but you don't know how to entangle yourself out of the obvious. So in that way, you sabotage and you limit yourself. You go back to something that is not serving you, and you go back to abuse, and you go back to things that are hurting you. But they are standing on the sideline waiting for the day that you will be able to see, or where your eyes can be opened, so you can see, where your feelings can be opened, so you can feel hurt enough for you to jump out of the fire. But some people never get that chance. They can't jump out of that fire because that fire actually burns them. But in your life, you should not be waiting for that time where something can burn you and destroy you. Because you have a chance to create it differently, to change things differently, to radically shift things differently. You have the chance to be somebody that you desire to be, because you're listening to what I'm saying right now. You see, it is your time to change. It is your time to shift, because right now you would not be listening to this if it was not your time. So you can hear this now and you take action with it, or you can hear this now and you decide it's not the right time for you. You have to remember that you will go around in a circle until you come back to this, and until you do that which you need to do for you to move to the next level. So it's not about, I'll do it tomorrow, because in my own life, in my own experiences, I've had that. So I couldn't afford to not research my own family. There are so many things that are obvious that I can see that other people can't see, because I've taken the time to experience what it's like in my family. I've taken the time to experience and to research where these things are coming from. And sometimes there are people that I can tell, but they can't see it. And I can only wait until they are awake enough for them to understand, oh yeah, that which you were saying that time. Only then can you help people. You can't force them and you can't make them. But you make your own decision to change things by shifting what you are obviously seeing. You see, these videos are made deliberately into 15 minutes, 18 minutes, maximum 30 minutes, because this information has to be acted upon. And if I overload you with stories and with things that will make you laugh and do all kinds of things. I know we're supposed to laugh and you're supposed to enjoy this thing, but at the same time, if I overload you with unnecessary things, you get distracted. Most of us are very busy. Our lives are filled with many other things, and my mind keeps, traveling to other things. I have to bring it back to focus. But at the same time, I'm bringing to you the things that matter most, the things that you need to dig deep down. And those things are the very things that will change your life. They might look like they are small, tiny videos. They might be like they don't mean anything much. But in reality, this is what you need to get yourself to get to the root cause of the issues that you have in your life. You can never resolve them from trying to be better in the natural. You cannot resolve them from trying to look good in the natural and covering up and putting all kinds of things. I wear wigs and I wear makeup. I'm a very different person when I'm wearing a wig and I'm wearing makeup. Completely different. I'm sure you can see it from my photos. And I look at that, I'm like, okay, that's not me. It's an image of me that was captured in a place and a time. But I prefer the natural me. That's beautiful. Don't you believe? Do you agree with me? Right, so working on your foundations, you have to find the source of your relationships, how you are creating them, so that when you change it from the foundations, you have done it for good. You see, it's not going to be bothering you again, because it's no longer there. The tree is dead. It's not going to grow and, put its roots where it's not wanted. And it's not going to distract. So your foundations can go deep and they can be firm. They will withstand the wind that will come, because now you have repaired your foundations. You have restored them and created new ones that are strong and that are holding the whole thing together in strength. So the wind and the storms and the rain and everything that comes cannot shake or destroy them. This is what is called by being wise and building your house on the rock. Because when you build it on the sand, it's going to be shaking. When the water comes, it can sweep it away. When the wind comes, it can blow it away. When the storm comes, you've got nothing left. So wisdom is what you use when you're doing this. You've got to really want it to have this session and do it right. I will see you in the next video.